Hey everyone, and welcome to this special video. It's my first ever Q&A video. So I asked people to submit any questions they had for me. Hey puppy. I asked people to submit any questions they had for me about whatever, the bike, me, the trip. And so I did get quite a few questions actually, so I'll go through them. And pardon me as I read them off my phone here, but so first question from Johnny Bravo. I'd like to hear about your gear, mostly your personal gear. What protection do you have? How many layers of clothing? What brands, gloves, shoes, pants, jackets, etc. So I will answer it, but I'll also tell you that I've got this listed on my website, which is adventureswithoutborders.info. And there is a gear section there if you're interested in going to look at that as well. So the riding pants you see me wearing are Revit Sand 4 H2O. So they are waterproof. They've got pretty good ventilation. I mean, honestly, the weather, the temperature I'm traveling in, nothing's gonna keep me cool. It's like 35, 40 degrees. And right now where I am, it's super tropical. I should mention that I'm just outside Chichen Itza. I'm in a small village, like a 5-minute drive from Chichen Itza, which is the world famous Mayan archaeological site near Cancun, down in southern Mexico here. So, riding pants are Revit Sand. The jacket, so I've got two components to my jacket. The underlayer, which I'm wearing almost exclusively on its own now, is the Revit Nucleus Armored Top. So it's got amazing padding in it, like it's even got chest protection, shoulder, elbow, back, but it's mesh. So you do sacrifice a little bit of the skidding protection, I guess, the abrasion protection, but the pads I feel make up for that, and it's excellent ventilation, as good as you're going to get short of riding without any protection. So the second layer to that jacket system is the Component 2 H2O jacket. That's sort of that eggplant colored jacket you see me wearing quite often, especially in the earlier videos. So I wore it in the rain. It's completely rainproof. It does cut the wind. It's got fairly good ventilation, so if it's not scorching hot, you're still going to get good air coming through. It's got like 3 ventilation points on each side and then across the chest as well. My helmet, so I did, if you've been following since the beginning, you might remember that I had to do a last minute swap. But they were the same helmets. They're the Scorpion EXO or EXO AT960. It's the adventure type helmet with a peak, fully flip up. I do have a microphone in there that I do struggle with sometimes to keep in the good position, in the proper position. It's got the boom. But when it's in the right position, the audio is really good. And my boots finally are the Revit Everest GTX. So they are a waterproof boot. Again, wore them in the rain. My feet stayed dry. They're my second pair of that particular model. So you'll note that everything is Revit. Obviously, I'm not sponsored or anything. It's just a brand that over the last 20 years, I've tried different brands, and it's one that I'm consistently happy with. So I've stuck with it. Although I'm not opposed to sponsorship if someone ever wants to offer. Oh, gloves. I don't really have anything special for gloves. I do have a set of rain gloves that I haven't even worn. I think I wore once on the trip. When I'm down in the hot temps, I wear the fingerless gloves. They're actually Harley Davidson. I just saw them in a Harley shop. They are pretty good quality. And I like having fingerless because, you know, I'm using my phone or having to, you know, pull out money for tolls or whatever, and it's warm enough that I don't need the full glove. But I do have a full leather glove, a light one. That's also, I don't even know the model. I've had these for so long, but they're also Revit brand gloves. All right, moving on. Question 2. Trying to figure out the best saddlebags for my new KLR. Okay, so right now I have these GV, the plastic saddlebags. Specifically, they're 45 liters each, so they are enormous. And quite frankly, they're a bit heavy and a bit big now that I think the more storage space you have, the more stuff you're gonna bring. So I'm looking at swapping them out for a GV soft bag that uses the same fixation system on the bike, the same brackets. So I'm gonna have an opportunity to hopefully do that in the next few weeks here. Now, what I do like about the hard luggage, and I've got the matching top case for these. Okay, so they are the GV Trekker, and they're the TRK 45s. They're also available in the 33 liter, and my top case is the 33 liter. So the side case is sort of the three cases, as long as you have the same type of attachment points, are interchangeable. So yeah, so I've got these, like I said, they're big. I like the security of a hard case. You know, I'm traveling with a laptop and you have your passport and things like that. So I think what I'm gonna do is get some soft bags for the sides. So GV makes a soft bag that again attaches with this monokey sort of system that they have. And I will keep the top box as a lockable box. And I usually take the top box into the room with me. And when I'm going out for supper or whatever, I use it as a safe in the room. I put my passport and everything valuable in there, and I just keep it locked in the room. So I think that'll be a good compromise for me, and it'll cut down on the weight on the sides. Again, if you've been following, you know I've been having issues on the one side with the bracket. The weld that was done in Coatepec has held, because that guy did a really good job. But again, I think cutting down on the weight is probably not a bad idea. So I would recommend, and this comes from DCI Jams, right? Trying to figure out the best saddlebags for my new KLR, also seats, foot pegs, windshields, etc. So that's for saddlebags. I would say if you're staying relatively close to home, especially in big North American cities, I would recommend having the hard bags. Again, I feel that theft is a bigger problem in the US and Canada than it is down here. That's just my feeling. So traveling through some big cities in the US, I would prefer having these hard bags that lock. If I'm going in for supper or whatever, I would just feel better about it. But if you're venturing into like Mexico, Central, South America, at this point I would say that the soft bags are probably a better bet, or like a combination like I'm gonna do of the hard case on top and then the soft bags on the side. And then I've also moved some stuff to my crash bars, and right now they're kind of sort of jerry-rigged there. So I've got my two spare tubes are on the one side. They're in a dry bag, like one of those cylindrical bags, and they're strapped there, and they haven't budged in weeks. So that's awesome. I'm also looking at getting a bag that I can strap on the other side with my tools, only because they're also heavy and I want to get them out of the side saddlebags. So I'm working on that before I head into Belize and start the Central American part of the trip. Seats, so I've got a Saddleman seat. Yeah, I mean, I have yet to find a saddle that's completely comfortable. So I've tried different brands on different bikes. It's not bad. I mean, anything you're on for more than 4 or 5 hours a day, you're gonna start feeling pressure points, I think, especially being a bigger guy. Like, I compress the foam pretty quickly. I do think that the stock seat is not very good, so there are different brands out there. Saddleman is just one of them. Research what you like, what works for your wallet, and go with something with a little bit of a denser foam. Expect to pay $400 or $500+ for an aftermarket saddle. You know, I see people with the sheepskin and stuff like that. That's never something that's worked for me. I mean, if you put it on and it makes you happy, great. It's all about your personal experience with this type of gear. Foot pegs, you're asking about. So I do have a little bit of a bigger foot peg with just all metal, no rubber. I'm not an off-roader. I do like to stand on the pegs to stretch, especially as I come through small towns. If I am off-road on rough stuff, I will stand on the pegs once in a while. So I needed something a little bit more solid. Again, I'm 250 pounds, bigger guy, size 13 feet. That's a 49 in Europe, if you're watching from Europe. So I needed something with a little bit more area. I also put on an aftermarket cover on the brake pedal so that it's a little bit of a wider area. And I'm pretty happy with that. The bike's got crash bars, obviously, as I mentioned. I've got the fork brace on it. And this particular KLR, I have done 2 of the big modifications. I've done the thermobob, and I have to say I did it myself last fall, so I hadn't really tested it on any longer term ride before this trip, but I got to tell you that that temperature gauge needle is just stable right in the middle, whereas it used to fluctuate a lot. So if that's the point of the thermobob, then I would say it does work. I also did the doohickey. I didn't do that one myself. I had a mechanic do it for me. I don't know. I mean, it's affordable enough that I'd rather be safe than sorry on that. So I don't really want to get into doohickey debate or anything. Question from IB516. Well, Ian, thanks for your question. What's your average liter per 100 kilometer on the bike? So I'm seeing about 5.5 liters for 100 kilometers or so. I mean, sometimes I feel that it's impacted because I'm not filling the tank myself here in Mexico. There's always an attendant. So like sometimes they don't fill up the last half liter or whatever, because some of them, as you've seen, are scared to go to the top to have it overflow. But on average, I would say it's between 5 and 5.5 liters. So on a 23 liter tank, and we all know, or at least KLR owners know, that the last few liters aren't accessible because of the configuration of this tank. So let's assume it's a 20 liter tank. That should give me close to 400 kilometer range. Now, I've always been a little bit of a chicken with my range on my bikes, so I like to fill up no later than 250. And of course, down here, I try not to pass up an opportunity to fill up. You know, if I'm over 100 or whatever and I'm in need of a break, then I do stop to fill up. June from Maple Creek, who I talked about in my very first video. Love following your journey to, love following you. My journey, being hers, to Peru and Argentina was spiritual, opened my heart and mind. Tell me a bit more about what you hope to get out of it. All this travel is more about meeting people than seeing buildings and seeing sights and whatever. Although I love it. Like tomorrow I'm going to go to the Mayan ruins at Chichen Itza here, like I mentioned. But it's the people you meet along the way, and there's something about traveling on a motorbike, and for those of you who already do, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you're traveling on a motorbike, people somehow find you approachable. They're very curious. I have people talking to me wherever I am, and they always seem amazed that I got down here on my motorbike, even though, I mean, I'm not doing anything original here. Like, so many people have done this Pan American trip before, but nonetheless, there's something that people really are intrigued by, inspired by, whatever. So my goal is to meet people along the way, to get to know how people live in different countries, and to prove to everybody that we're all just the same. Like, we all have the same goals in life, right? We're all looking to survive, to feed ourselves and our families. We're looking to be happy, and we're looking for love. That's what we're all doing, and that's what it's about, June. And I really appreciate you following along. You have some pretty cool travel credentials yourself. What else have I got here? How many miles on your bike, and how comfortable do you find it to be? All right, how many kilometers on my bike? So I'm at 29,090 kilometers right now. So when I started the trip, I was at 19,500. So I'm just a few hundred kilometers short of 10,000 kilometers right now since I started the trip. So that's 6,000 miles. So to convert from miles to kilometers, you multiply by 60% by 0.6. And the opposite, if you're trying to convert miles to kilometers, you multiply by 1.6. So, it's actually 1.62 and 0.62, but it's close enough. How comfortable do you find it to be? So again, I've yet to find a bike that I would say, oh, this thing is super comfortable, I could sit on it all day. I like this. The space between the seats and the foot peg is good for me. So my legs my knees are at a good angle. So the BMW I used to ride at work, that was not the case. And luckily I got off of it a lot during the day, but if I had to take it for a longer ride, my knees would always start to ache just because of that distance. So I would say this is a very tall bike, this KLR. So I would say that for tall people, this is a great bike. If you're shorter, you can lower them, and the new KLRs come in the S version, which is the short version as well. Oh, so someone's asking me to show more food along the way, so I'm actually going to start doing that. I do take pictures of it, but I haven't been taking a lot of video. So that's Stacy. I'll make a point of starting to do that. Tell us about. So the next one is DCI jams. Tell us about your bag setup, which I kind of already did, and extra gas cans. My friends and I are buying new KLRs this month, and we want to set them up for full touring. So I've got, GV makes a 2.5 liter gas canister that's designed to mount on their various, there's two mounting systems depending on which bag you have. So, a place like Revzilla, you can even find them on Expedia, or in Canada, Fort9. If you enter GV, or if you search for GV jerry can, GV gas tank, you'll find it. And then they're just two mounting systems. The one I have is a nylon system, like it's a hard plastic nylon system, and it's specifically designed for these bags that I have, these Trekker bags. There's another one designed for the GV aluminum, so it's just the flat side saddle bag, and that's a metal, it's aluminum. So they're both good systems for mounting these tanks. And again, but they do add weight, so don't forget. 2.5 liters, I think it's a kilogram per liter. I think it's 1.2 kilograms per liter of fuel. So you're looking at almost 3 kilos, which is 6.67 pounds just about, of weight that you're adding on the back of your bag. So again, you have to factor that in on the weight of the bag and what you're putting inside it as well. So you can't be loading a bunch of tools and heavy stuff and a full jerry can of gas back there. On my old bike, which was a Super Tenere, I used the Rotopax system. So I'd replaced the back seat with separate. I replaced the back seat with a platform that allowed for 2 Rotopax. And they were both, I think they were both a gallon, like 5 liters. So just over a gallon. So I was able to carry like 10 liters of fuel on that bike, and that didn't have any impact on the luggage weight. I don't think I ever used 10 liters of fuel, even in that stretch in Baja, California, where there's no fuel. You can totally make it with the guys selling fuel on the side of the road. Now, worst case scenario, you get lost somewhere and there's no gas stations. That can become an issue. So it's always nice to have a little bit, but like for me, if I'm carrying 5 liters, that gets me 100 kilometers. So even carrying one of those things at 2.5, that buys me another 50K. It'll get me out of a jam. I haven't figured out what I would do with those if I switch to a soft bag. So I do think about it, and I'm researching it. If you have any ideas, let me know. I don't know if there's someone who can build me some sort of bracket on one of my crash bars that I can install it there. That'd be awesome. But I'll figure something out, and I might just have to do without the extra fuel, since again, haven't used it yet. I don't know about South America. That's the only thing. So there's some research coming up for me still about that. DCI Jams again says, my friends and I are looking at getting the new 25 KLRs, which look great, by the way. I I think they're a really good looking bike, and now with the electronic fuel injection. He's coming off a Goldwing, that's DCI Jams, and hasn't ridden since the 80s on his Kawasaki 550 LTD. That's his friend who hasn't ridden since the 80s, and DCI is coming off his Goldwing. So it's going to be a big change from the Goldwing to the KLR. Wants to hear reviews on my bike. So I do think that these KLRs are well suited for this type of travel, right? For countries where, so Mexico, and then it's only going to get worse, and I use that in quotes. It's just a fact of life. Like the availability of parts and things like that. Like I go into motorbike shops looking for chain cleaner, and they don't carry chain cleaner. So it's tough, right? So a KLR, they're so ubiquitous, they're everywhere, and they're easy to fix for a mechanic. Like there's a lot I can do on it, but for a mechanic, there's no electronic components, there's no screen to swap, you know, nothing like that. This thing doesn't even have ABS. So I think for a trip like this, it is a bike of choice. The downside is when I was coming down the west coast of the US on the freeways, I'm not going 130k an hour or 80 miles an hour, right? Because the bike with my weight and my luggage just won't do it. So my comfortable sort of speed around Mexico on highways has been between 95 and 100. That seems to be like a natural point for the bike. So I like it. Again, depends what you want to do. So my previous bike was a 1200, the Super Tenere, the Yamaha. I rode that thing to Mexico a bunch of times. I rode it through Europe, into Turkey, into North Africa. I put 140, I think 150, I think it was 150,000 kilometers on that thing before I sold it. Had zero issues until the very end, right? And even then it wasn't, the problems I had with it weren't life-ending. They got fixed, sold the bike, and now someone's taking it to Alaska. So awesome, it gives that bike a new life. But I sort of realized, like the 1200, I love it for passing semis and stuff, especially in Canada or the US, but is it necessary down here? I would say no. It's a lot of bike for down here, and it starts to get pretty big. I mean, people think this thing is a giant down here, so imagine, you know, twice the cubic centimeters on the engine. And yeah, I would like it if these were not tube tires. I mean, if you're an off-roader, you might prefer the spokes in that. But I'm carrying the tools and the extra tubes and the patch kit should I need any of that, so that's fine. So I do have a 2024 Honda Transalp at home. Maybe it's a 23, I can't remember. No, it's a 24. And I was recently just looking at, so that's going to be my bike for Europe, the Transalp. That's a 700. So I'm looking at swapping out the rims for tubeless rims on that one. It's going to cost a bit, but there's a few aftermarket options now, so I'm looking at that. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to say use this bike, use that bike. If you're going to do Pan American, I think a simple bike is better. But people have done it on BMWs, people have done it on Triumph Tigers and things like that. So there are all sorts of options.